Hello everyone, it's me, XZProZX. I'm back with another Photoshop video. This video is going to be pretty different compared to my other videos, since I'm going to be ranking every map in Photoshop for bomb defuse from worst to best. I've been playing this game for almost 3 years, so somewhere around 2017, and I'm confident that I have enough experience to know which ones are good, which ones are bad. So how do we rank them? How do we know that some of them are good and some of them are just straight up trash? Well, to determine what is a good map, you need to look at its map layout, right? Bomb location is also important, balance as well, for the CT and the T side. There needs to be sort of like a even matchup, and the last thing would have to be sort of how fun it is. I know this isn't really that important because it's really not, but it's definitely a small part, a small little part that sort of makes a map great. If you play a boring map, how's it? Doesn't give you the drive to play it again, right? So you need a map that gets you hooked into playing it. So without further ado, let's begin with our list. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you really like my content though. As a reminder, this is just my opinion, so everything that I say may or may not be true to you. If you disagree, please feel free to make your own list down in the comment section. I will be glad to read them, and I will definitely reply to them. Starting off with the worst spot on my list is the infamous Maul. Maul is arguably the worst map to play bomb defuse for many reasons, one of which is having a wide open area and being able to see almost the entire map. You probably knew where these tend to favor: snipers and campers. I'm not even kidding, this map rewards them. How so? Well, since the map gives snipers the ability to see everywhere, they can get really early kills at the start of the round. To make matters worse, Maul is littered with head glitch spots, especially on the second floor. All you had to do is crouch down anywhere on the second floor, and you just made yourself an extremely difficult target to hit or see. There's also a ton of places to hide for cover, which benefits the CT. A good example would be the A site. As you can see, there are so much objects in the site that protects you and makes the enemies guess your location. The site also has objects that will only expose your head, thus making you a very tricky target to get hit. It's basically a guessing game at this point. This also applies to B site, and still, the meta in Maul revolves around snipers and campers. No other guns can beat snipers except for assault rifles. Even if you have an assault rifle, you're still in a disadvantage when it comes to range, as the sniper is much more superior when it comes to long range combat. Overall, don't ever play bomb defuse on Maul, both competitively and casually. You will die quite early in the rounds, so don't expect to have fun, because getting killed by a sniper gets really old. Talking about how unfair Maul is could take a whole nother video, so I'm going to make one in the near future. Next up, we have Amusement. Amusement can be a contender for the worst map to play bomb defuse. However, I believe Amusement is better than Maul by not much. In terms of the team balance between CT and T, I'll say it's alright, but not great. After all, the devs did design this map to be played at a competitive level, or at least they attempted to. Despite the team balance being somewhat even, The gameplay is absolutely atrocious. Out of all the maps I've played, Amusement is the only one that always make my game lag. Let's compare it to other maps. Here is Arid. Just look at how smooth it is. Look at that. I say that's somewhere around, the 60 FPS. So far so good. Alright, here's Streets. Still the same smooth, silky 60 FPS, but it was ruined by a hacker. Lastly, here is Amusement. Look at this mess. I am receiving really choppy FPS. If you look in really closely, you can tell that it is different from my other comparisons. I don't know the exact cause, but I'm assuming that the abundance of objects in the map causes the FPS to dip. Another thing that bothers me the most are the unnecessary spots. I do not know what the thought process was behind when the devs added them. They added a storage room near T-spawn, a pool, the area behind CT spawn, and this. This is over the top unnecessary. It's too much. They had to add a whole freaking place that could have been a mini-map itself. If they removed these, Amusement would have been so laggy in the first place. I mean, the devs even added fences in Bomb Defuse to prevent players from going there. They realized how big of a map it is. In summary, Amusement was just an overhyped map that never saw its chance to be in the competitive scene. It's just a waste of space. Amusement does not amuse me. Moving on to the number 4 spot, we have Motel. I know some of y'all believe that it should be placed lower, but hear me out. Unlike Maul or Amusement, Motel is fairly small for a map. Engagements will occur almost immediately at the start of each round, so Motel is meant to have fast-paced gameplay. I like things to be fast-paced, but how about team balance? Sadly, Motel is one of the most unbalanced map in the game. It's the only one that actually heavily favors the T side, not the CT, since A side is closer to the terrorists. For the majority of the matches, players in T side would rush A almost all the time. Of course, there are a few strategies to stop them from rushing. One way is to use grenades. Speaking of grenades, the possibilities of grenade spots are endless. You can throw them from anywhere of the map, and don't be surprised if you got killed by a frag across the map. One last thing that makes Motel unviable for serious play are the infamous Motel balconies. Not only are you able to perform head glitches, you could see everything around you, giving you a huge advantage over others. Again, this benefits to those who camp or snipe. Although I do not recommend you to play Motel if you are a competitive player, it is still a decent map to play if you are a casual or someone who just want fast-paced gameplay. So it stays in the number 4 spot. Coming into my number 3 spot is going to be Frosty. I would say Frosty is right in between the line of being viable and unviable. There isn't much I could say anything particularly bad about it other than the map being CT sided. The map layout is good for the most part, however, my one main issue with Frosty is B site. Near B site you have a 2-story house. It's notorious for halting rushes and at the same time a living nightmare for the CT once the bomb has been planted. It's no doubt a position that gives a player a huge advantage. Whenever I play, people will always camp on the 2nd floor, usually to stall enemies for as long as possible. Since there's only one way for you to go to the 2nd floor, it's very risky to go up when an enemy is waiting on you. Essentially, the house encourages the CT to play a more campier playstyle. Meanwhile, it forces terrorists to approach or switch to another bomb site. This is probably the main reason why Frosty is rarely played in tournaments, due to the map being CT-sided. It's still a decent map to play, both seriously and casually. One thing that the devs should do is to do a bit of rework on Frosty, so then it could be another viable option for competitive play. Streets. This is my favorite map to play in any mode, especially in Bomb Defuse. Streets map layout is a great, yet unique layout. The map gives both the CT and T side a lot of different advantages, to the point where I could say it is even. For instance, CT has some options to hide for cover on A site, while that number increases for B site. Now for the T side, they have about 4 ways to enter A, and about 5 ways to enter B site. Unlike most maps in the game, Streets actually gives the T side several ways to go to a bomb site, forcing the CT side to be constantly worried about where the enemies could be going. And to be honest, there's really not much I could say anything bad or negative about Streets. It's a really great map to play for any mode. And I guess one thing I could say is kind of bad, but not that bad. The CT side does have a bit of an advantage when it comes to sniping. They have a bit of a better position than the terrorists. So as a terrorist, you might struggle a bit. You might lose some long-range fights. So keep that in mind. For competitive play, it does fairly well and has been used sometimes in tournaments. Unfortunately, there is a lack of map variety, since Arid is the most played map in tournaments. I would love to see more matches being played on Streets. It's definitely one of those maps that most people sleep on. Other than that, Streets is very balanced, totally awesome to play, very fun, viable for competitive play, and really underused. You already saw this coming. It's Arid. Arid is Fort Assault's most iconic map, and for good reasons. First, the map layout is incredibly simple and balanced. If you look carefully, Arid uses the 4-square layout. Not exactly the same, but it is very similar nonetheless. Both sides have a fair amount of options to hold certain positions, while being able to use a mid as a gateway to quickly move around the map. This popular layout would soon inspire other maps to have that design, such as Streets and Frosty. The simplicity and balance of Arid is the sole reason why it is the most played map in Fort Assault. Every server is infested with Arid. Heck, it's even the go-to map for competitive play. Arid is so simple yet so effective at hooking in players. Countless hours were wasted because of it. So then, what makes Arid so special? Sure, it can get boring sometimes, it gets overplayed, but unlike every other map, it's super addictive. Arid is the pinnacle of map design. Obviously, it is inspired by DDoS 2 from Counter-Strike, but you get the point. The 4-square layout is what makes Arid, well, Arid. And that's why it is the best map to play Bomb Defuse in Forward Assault. Yeah, those are my personal rankings for every map for Bomb Defuse from worst to best. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, press the like button and comment down below. If you really love my content, please subscribe for more. It has been a blast and see ya all in the next one. Bye!